Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Before my open, breaking news tonight. After nearly 5 years as a captive of the Taliban, U.S. Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl is free. Jennifer Griffin has the details on Bergdahl's release.
Judge, the president appeared alongside Bo's parents, Jannie and Robert, in the Rose Garden of the White House.
But while Bo was gone, he was never forgotten. His parents thought about him and prayed for him every single day, as did his sister Sky, who prayed for his safe return. He wasn't forgotten by his community in Idaho or the military, which rallied to support the Bergdahls through thick and thin. And he wasn't forgotten by his country, because the United States of America does not ever leave our men and women in uniform behind.
The president spoke to Bo's parents by phone earlier today once Bo was safely in U.S. hands.
We will continue to stay strong for Bo while he recovers. Thank you.
I'd like to say to Bo right now, who's having trouble speaking English, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Zayabayem. I'm your father, Bo.
Bo's father had been learning Pashto, the language spoken in that part of Afghanistan and Pakistan. It is a deal that has been in the works since 2012 to trade 5 Gitmo prisoners for America's only living prisoner of war. A helicopter filled with several dozen Navy SEALs landed near the Pakistan border in eastern Afghanistan. They were met by 18 armed Taliban. No shots were fired. The transfer took place at about 10:30 Eastern today. Bergdahl was a bit disoriented and confused. He took a pen and wrote on a paper plate, writing instead of talking because it was so loud on board the helicopter. SF ? Meaning Special Forces. The SEALs sitting with Bergdahl responded loudly over the noise of the rotor blades, saying, "Yes, we've been looking for you for a long time." Bergdahl then reportedly broke down crying. According to senior U.S. defense sources, Bergdahl was in a weakened state, had lost some weight, but he could walk on his own. He was held by the Haqqani faction of the Taliban for 4 years and 10 months. He walked off base and went missing on June 30th, 2009 at his base in Paktika province. We are seeing growing anger from Republican congressional leaders who have oversight over the armed forces and intelligence committees. They say the president did not inform them of the transfer of prisoners from Gitmo, as is required by law. Judge?
Jennifer Griffin, thank you. The only American POW in Afghanistan, Bo Bergdahl, has been released. Part of a 5-for-1 prisoner swap after 5 years in captivity. With me now, retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer. Good evening, Colonel. 5-for-1, is that a good deal?
I don't think it's a good deal in Vegas. We've lost all leverage, and one of the things that we're talking about, the administration has been talking about, Judge, is trying to use these 5, the Gitmo 5, as leverage to open the negotiations with the Taliban to end the war. 2 reasons that's wrong. First, we've given up at least 2 of these Taliban who are actually Al-Qaeda dual-hatted, which means they're terrorists. Secondly, because we gave all 5 away, we literally have no leverage left. So when you put that together with the fact that there were still other options on the table. There was other ways to negotiate this. There was other ways. There was other military options.
Colonel, what other options?
Well, one of the things noted by Jennifer is that he was actually held by the Haqqani network in Pakistan. Pakistan had a lot bigger role in this than I think the U.S. government's willing to admit. That leads me to the next option, which is military. One of the things I've heard from my sources is that the White House was fearful of a military option. We could have done a similar raid to get him as we did with bin Laden. The problem was you have to go into Pakistan. So that's why that option was never seriously considered. So when you look at this,
we did it with bin Laden. So why wouldn't we consider it? Why would we give away 5 Gitmo detainees for 1 American?
Because it's sloppy thinking. If you recall, Woodrow Wilson brought the World War I to what I would a responsible end, to quote President Obama. But what we're doing here, Judge, is actually laying the groundwork, much like Woodrow Wilson did, to lead into World War II. We're not actually supporting the Afghan government. These 5 individuals will help undermine the very central government President Obama says he's trying to help. And then also, more importantly, this is I don't trust Qatar, where these prisoners have been released to. The chances are very good, even if they're not back in the field commanding troops. This is a propaganda victory for the Taliban. This will strengthen them, and these 5 individuals can actually do things from Qatar to help the effort there
wait
against
a minute.
us.
There's no question this is a victory for the Taliban. And
no,
by the
no
way,
doubt.
I thought we didn't negotiate with the enemy, but apparently we do. But more importantly, when we release these 5 to Qatar, what makes us think they're staying there? These people are determined to kill Americans.
And that's my point. The government of Qatar has said we will guarantee that they will not leave Qatar. We'll see.
How can they
With
do
that
that?
said, I don't know. They said they will, quote unquote, restrict their travel, which means, to me, Judge, they're going to be free. So if you've got guys running around doing things, they can actually start increasing their ability to command and control from Qatar, also paving the way for destabilizing Afghanistan further, which is what we don't want to have happen. So I don't think the president is thinking of this seriously, because this was a short-term gain. Yes, God bless Sergeant Bergdahl for being back. God bless he and his family. I'm glad he's back. With that said, there's some long-term failures here on the horizon that I don't think we thought through completely. And again, we've lost our leverage over the Taliban, the very thing that they're trying to achieve with this.
Well, and you know, this week in his speech at West Point, the president says, you know, he's so proud he's going to continue to push to close Gitmo because American values and traditions don't permit the indefinite detention of people beyond our borders. It sounds like the president wanted just to release these guys anyway and use this as an excuse.
Judge, these 5 individuals were actually covered under the authorized use of military force. They were involved in the 9/11 attacks. We had the right to try them militarily. Now, this is what I don't get. These guys had blood on their hands. They actually were involved in at least 1 CIA officer's death. A couple of these guys were involved in killing innocent civilians. We had the goods on these guys. They should have been tried. So I don't understand now why they're being released back into the wild and surely to turn back and go into combat against us.
All right. Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. And now to my open. Ever get sick? Call the doctor? No answer? When they do answer, you can't get an appointment. But they'll get back to you. And then they never do. Because your name went in the garbage can. You get sicker. You know you're dying. You wait. But no doctor. Because you were put on a death list when your name went in that garbage can. Welcome to Barack Obama's America, where corruption, scandal, and lawlessness reign, where truth, justice, and integrity went right into that same garbage can. And make no mistake, you're next. Folks, it ain't going to get better. Get ready, because Obamacare will do the same to you. Yesterday, VA Secretary Shinseki resigns. So do I feel better? No. Will it bring back our dead veterans? No. Will it bring solace to their families? No. But not to worry, the president is on it. He'll make everyone accountable. He's going to take away their 2014 bonuses. Really? God help us. Yet the president bemoans that Shinseki resigned because he is, quote, a champion of veterans, quote, a very good man. Well, Mr. President, with all due respect, you're wrong. A good man would have said, Mr. President, our soldiers are not just dying in foreign countries, they are dying here in America. A champion of veterans would have said, Mr. President, our soldiers are not dying on the battlefield, but in our union-run veterans' hospitals. What's that? Shinseki didn't know? That's hogwash, and you know it. The law required Shinseki to receive those IG reports, 51 of them. The Government Accountability Office, the IG, the American Legion, the press, and veterans themselves for years raised the issue of long wait times. What the hell was Shinseki doing? Playing golf with you? Now, in 2007, even you, before you became president, knew of these problems.
No veteran should have to fill out a 23-page claim to get care, or wait months, even years, to get an appointment at the VA.
Your remedy? Shorten the patient wait time to 14 days and give unions bonuses for doing so. You teed it up perfectly for corruption by your union friends. Now clerks are taught how to falsify records. Document destruction becomes the norm. And these crooks can't be fired, yet veterans are forced to die because of interminable wait times. And don't give me this hogwash that there was a doctor shortage and that you can't hire doctors, and don't even try the budget game. The increase in the veterans' budget has been astronomical and far exceeds the increase in the number of veterans. And don't tell me it's a computer glitch and that you need to upgrade your record keeping. The death of a veteran is more than a glitch. Isn't it amazing, though, that every time you run for office, your computer systems and your campaign website work flawlessly? But when it comes to us, those pesky computers, well, they just don't work. You knew, Shinseki knew, and everyone in the VA knew. My remedy? A federal investigation, with you and Eric Holder totally out of it because of a conflict of interest. Or the designation of at least a special prosecutor. The crimes: criminally negligent homicide, involuntary manslaughter, falsifying records, obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence, obstruction by intimidation of the whistleblowers. Your Veterans Administration was an organized criminal enterprise where veterans, because of intentional wrongdoing on the part of the VA employees, were left to die. That intentional wrongdoing premised on the oldest of motives: greed. This corruption and your intentional refusal to right this tragedy has brought disgrace on our nation and should be an impeachable offense. 40 deaths in one hospital in one city alone is too much. You say everything is a trumped-up scandal. Benghazi, the IRS, the AP, wiretapping, the Secret Service. Mr. President, we are weary of your fake outrage and your claim that bad news just doesn't get to you. Mr. President, why don't you just admit that this job is too much for a community organizer? Try saying this was trumped up by your political rivals. And that's my open. Coming up, a whistleblower who wished everything to expose the VA scandal next. And vote in tonight's Insta poll: should veterans be allowed to get health care at private hospitals? Facebook or tweet me at Judge Jeanine. Stay with us.